was intentionally being single. I'm going to be single for this set amount of time because that is what God is calling her to do. He's like, 5 years. I was like, that's a long time, but okay. That maybe God is putting me through this season because he knows I struggle with commitment. It makes sense. It was 5 years ago, and I was in the kitchen, because I remember it vividly. I was in the kitchen, I was listening to Ali Rowe. I listened to her like all the time, and she was all about growing closer to God, and her ministry was about being a single woman and preparing yourself for marriage and healing from past relationships and stuff like that. And at the time in my life, I had never been in a relationship. The only heartbreak I had ever felt was from friendship breakups. And talk about heartbreaking. It was very heartbreaking. I didn't know how to comprehend, how to heal, how to grow after the friendship breakups I had. And I was like, there's no way that a relationship breakup could be worse than this. As I was growing, as I was, I had just graduated from college, graduated from high school, and all my friends were going to college. Mind y'all, I was homeschooled. So, I didn't have a whole bunch of, I had friends that were homeschooled, but, everyone had their different paths and stuff like that. So, it's not like it was a coincidence if you found somebody that you went to the same school with or whatever. But, at the time, I was like, oh, I'm not going to go to a university. I'm going to go to community college, do the cheaper route, get my extra credit stuff in. Also thought I was going to be a life coach. So I was like, I'm going to get my life coaching license and, become a life coach, make millions, go travel. And then at one point I'll go get my degree, just for funsies. That didn't happen that way, thank God. But, it would have been nice, but it didn't happen that way. I had just went through a friendship breakup right before graduating. Yep, I went through a friendship breakup right before graduating. And then two of my best friends and one of my best friend's girlfriend, we had a little friend group. And we all just split ways. One got married and moved to a different country and never spoke to me again. The two broke up within that year, and I didn't hear from them. And the only other person I had in my life that I actually still had a conversation with was my other best friend, Sarah. But I wasn't sure where our friendship had stood. So honestly, y'all, in this time, I was hurt. I was going through a lot of pain, and I just felt like God was isolating me. Like he had just stripped everybody away from me at this point, And I think that's the journal entry I was telling y'all about the isolation one. And maybe it's because I struggle with commitment. And it was in that same time that I was watching an Allison Rowe live stream, and she had said in her testimony she had went through a season of singleness where she just was intentionally being single, not just single because of her situation, because she just got a relationship, or no man was reaching out to her, or she wanted to be in one. No, she intentionally decided, I'm going to be single for this set amount of time because that is what God is calling her to do. And she has spoken about it in many of her videos, but on this live stream, she was just saying, I feel like somebody is supposed to be going through their season and you know who you are. And I was like, Jesus, she's not talking to me, is she? I said, there's no way. But I felt the Holy Spirit. I was like, nah, she's definitely talking about me. And she was just like, if you know it, just start praying with me. And we started to pray. And I was just like, Lord, if this is for me, speak to me, tell me what to do. And he just started telling me, he's like, 5 years. I was like, that's a long time, but okay. 5 years is a very long time. But I was like, okay. He was like, he just told me directly what to do. 5 years of singleness. The first 2 years, you're going to focus on yourself and your relationship with me. I was supposed to focus on my relationship with myself, self-love, being confident in who God created me to be, and growing in my relationship and my intimacy with knowing God and hearing his voice. I was like, okay. And then he said the third year is going to be about learning relationships, what it takes to be in a relationship. What are relationships? What's the point of them? Like, how do they work? And then the fourth year is to learn about marriage, the importance of marriage, what makes a marriage work, why God created marriage, why marriage, what it means to be a wife, what it means to be a husband, like what are the roles and the properties and requirements and what makes a good marriage, what makes a godly good marriage. And then the last year, he let me have a choice. He said, you can date if you want to, or you don't have to. I'm leaving that up to you for your choice. You can decide if you want to go on dates or not. He was just like, just don't get into a relationship, like that fifth year, don't get into a relationship. You can start dating if you want to though. Like that was my decision. And I was like, okay, I can do this. At this point, I'm at community college. There's no guys trying to get with me, trying to be in relationships. So I'm like, oh, this is easy. Like, anyways, like, I don't know why I like this sucks. I won't be able to get in a relationship, but also I don't think I'm ready for one. And those 2-3 years, those two first years, I had cut off multiple guys because one of them was actually an old friend of mine who I actually we had known each other since elementary, and I had the biggest crush on him. And then later on in life, he had the biggest crush on me. And then we would always see each other at the store or whatever. But we never got together. We never got in a relationship. And I was just like, I don't understand why that's the case. Like, why don't we ever get in a relationship? And in those first 2 years, we went to the same community college. And I was like, okay, interesting. And we started to talk and we started to get to know each other. And I had started realizing, I was like, oh crap, I think he's into me. I think he wants something out of this. And I was like, oh no, I just started this whole 5 years of singleness, and I'm dedicated to it. This is an important part of my life. Like, I am not messing around with these 5 years, especially not when I just started. Like, come on now. And so I cut things off with him. I stopped talking to him. I actually blocked him, but that's for other reasons that we don't have to get into right now. But yeah, in those first 2 years, I started IMD Ladies. IMD Ladies, that was a true passion project because I love self-love. I love teaching people about self-love, the importance of it, because like y'all, if you don't love yourself, forget everything else. If you don't know your value, your worth, who you are at the core of just you existing, forget friends, forget relationships. You're gonna run them all away. Like, you literally, genuinely, you will run all of those relationships, those connections that you have. You'll run them to the ground because you don't know how to handle yourself. Because you don't know yourself and you don't know your worth. You don't know your value. And I was dedicated posting every single Sunday, Self-Love Sunday. I had themes. One of them was a fall theme. It was falling in love. Oh, I loved that one. That was so much fun. And one day God was like, give it to me. Say what now? What? After 2 years? And he said, give it to me. That's a whole nother video in and of itself that I'll get into one day. Oh, just not today. But I gave it to God. Needless to say, I gave it to God. And I focused back on my relationship with him. Focus back on what it took to be in a relationship. Focus back on what those 5 years were supposed to be about, which in that year is about learning relationships and learning to be a wife and putting those things into understanding and learning more about it. And then, it's crazy, so crazy. My 5th year, I got asked to go on multiple dates. And I remember God telling me, you have a choice. You can decide if you want to and you don't want to. And mind you, God wasn't telling me like, you can if you want to, but I advise you not to. Like, that's not what he was saying. He really was just like, you have a choice. If you want to, you can. And the guys who reached out, they asked me out or they tried to talk to me, and I was like, none of it felt right. None of them felt like the right one or somebody I wanted to be with. And I was like, yeah, nah. And I said no to all of them. Well, one of them I talked to for a little bit, and then I realized how much of a distraction and problem it was, and so I ended it. But anyways, after that, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm not talking to anybody. Like, nope. After all of that, I am now happy to say that I am in a healthy relationship. I say all that to say this. I'm back. It is now Yes, She Is. It is all about encouragement and empowerment for young women, young ladies in their relationship with themselves and with their relationship with God and with their relationships with others. Because clearly we all need a little help. And maybe I can help you. Thank you for watching. This is Yes, She Is.